VVVVVV is a flippin' awesome game. So with that joke done, I'm gonna put the game I'm technically reviewing here on hold and talk a bit about the genre it belongs in. 2D platforming is a very simple concept that is so fine-tuned from its early days, so much so that attempting to change it can just make the entire experience worse. You have yourself, you have places where you can walk, they exist on different planes of height on the world, and there is a button that lets you control where you walk in a vertical manner, but misusing that button, or forgetting to use it, gets you to an area or object visually different from the other ones that will cause some degree of punishment. You really can't get more simple than that. And here are 10 good, phenomenal and fantastic games that do exactly this using jumping. And at surface level they have no mechanical difference. Super Mario and Super Meat Boy both have a jump button, a sprint button, and the ability to move left or right. But why is Super Mario for the Nintendo Wii a game for babies, and Super Meat Boy is a thumbnail goldmine? The answer is the goal. New Super Mario Bros. Wii was a jumping game for the whole family, so any 90-year-old grandpa could play with the cool kids. Super Meat Boy was made to kick your ass! And it does so by making Mario Boy's movement 100 times faster, making lives infinite, and not buttering about how sad a player might feel after spending 10 minutes playing with a turtle and then dying near the end. Because it doesn't want you to play with the world is after you. You don't stay in one place in Meat Boy, while in Mario Wii, you stare at this cute chain reaction for like 3 minutes. But that's a mechanical difference in speed, and this comparison feels run into the ground by now, so in a world where every jumping spike dodger can be fun as long as the controls are good and the levels are interesting, what's the point of making a platformer other than cashing in on the bouncy castle of gaming? What can you really add that won't subtract from the core concept? Because removing jumps, as an example, doesn't work. Look at Knack, trust me, it doesn't work. Very few people actually have that breakthrough, that one thing nobody did yet, and managed to make it into something incredible. Spelunky uses those same jump and dash base movement, but gives you an almost RPG-like cave with shops, bombs, ropes, and a lot of little tricks to make the levels less than linear, but instead a playground to discover every single procedurally generated level by yourself. It twisted genre by adding in exploration, something most games handle by adding some collectibles and coins. Not as a completely normal way to play the level, bombing down and scouring the bottom floor is an equally good strategy to trying to save all your resources and finding the preset path the game made. Ink is like a reverse exploration game. You know you need to get to the end with a linear path towards it, but unlike most games where holding right has a good chance of getting you where you need to be for at least half the run, this game places you in the canvas, and only your guessing is the key for the start. It's a feeling of confusion and call of bravery every single level, followed up by a learning motion that takes the Meat Boy approach to a dark corner, beats it up and gives it a little flashlight. The end is nice, saw wall jumping and said, "Where's the fun?" And then it looked at the games and said, "Here's the fun, perfecting a wall jump." This game has some of those classic pure jumps, but most of the trickiness comes when you need to understand the wall clinging hooks, where you either jump a bit higher from any corner of the platform, or long jump at high speeds and risk not having enough height to get around. It adds the hyper-control idea of diving down to either bail from a bad jump or force timing when anything approaches. This makes the game a super tight experience where every input is perfectly predicted by the developer and an incredibly controlled experience is formed, but combined with collectibles, this makes this your very own apocalypse. I recommend watching this phenomenal analysis of how TEIN handled collectibles done by MML's commentaries. It's super interesting and very detailed. Click the little card right now to watch it. But all those games, while innovative, took a new step towards platforming. The simple idea of hovering over a gap or a problem at the right time, but just the right amount, remained. But what I want to talk about today is a game with a simple concept that shatters the barrier the perfectly fine genre sets up and makes an equally or even more amazing game by having both sides of any platform a possible goal, and shifting your way of looking at the game at every single button press. VVVVVV for the Switch runs at a non-stop 60 FPS, something previous versions, for example PC, actually don't do at all, and with the almost two perfectly responsive controls equipped in Viridian, this will deliver the same and probably better memories you hopefully have from having the game on PC, and if you haven't, you're in for a real treat. And before I truly start, I want to add one more detail that I think can interest a few people, I don't know. I only played this game on handheld mode up until I got all collectibles. I started playing it in handheld and realized after beating it the first time that I didn't even try tabletop or TV mode. And then I realized, hey, this can actually be a kind of interesting thing to play the whole thing on handheld mode, so I stuck with it all the way. I don't know if that's done or not, back to the video. So, quick summary, you're Captain Viridian. Yes, every name here starts with V. I doubt even half of those names are real, at least outside Russia. They all get lost because of actually cool lore stuff you can read about in these terminals some spaceman left for you, I think. I too carry monitors around me in space to leave whatever I write exactly where I write it so I can do anything with said notes, yes. You have a ton of checkpoints that kind of make each level more of its own challenge than it might seem, and that's a good thing since the game might look like a Metroidvania of sorts, but the open travel is merely a hub world for exploring space, and if there isn't a checkpoint, it's because the challenge just wasn't meant for one screen. They can go both ways. You gotta get around the big map you uncover by seeing it with your own eyes, and general motivational question marks to help the very confused. I'm confident in saying you won't have to open a walkthrough to beat the game. You usually end up where you need to be as long as you keep an eye on the map every once in a while, if you have a feeling you've just been in this place before. The game's challenge is seemingly the very core of platformers, dodge spikes and anything flashing in non-lovely colors. The lovely flashing colors signal with either the latest checkpoints, or more notably these trinkets. Get these to feel real good. These are usually the harder collectibles to get, but don't worry, you can win with 0 trinkets if it was possible. Get all friends and finish all bonus areas between said friend teleports such as the Gravitron and the Nightmare, and you win. But now for the fun part. This game uses its simple-ish palette and visual design of an old MS-DOS game very cleverly and designates each of the main rescue areas to its own theme. It's kinda hard to describe in words, but you'll know what I mean by big wider squares and motherboard lines as long as you see it. It might not be exactly memorable, but it definitely feels fresh all the time. The subtle background gives you a very compact and direct gameplay experience while leaving the rest of the world where you don't need to look beyond its edges to some fun art stuff and world building, such as making this stitch scratch across screens. It's simple, but it adds a lot. Almost every screen also has a nice title that is either a self-contained joke on the enemy visuals you see on screen, like seeing dollar signs, or a small poke at the player over some screens like what lies beneath and spikes do, joking about both flies and the answer. Or, you know, VVVVVV. This one, it actually only took me like 20 or 30 minutes over the course of 2 days to get this one. You won't believe if you don't know the game, but this is an improvement. 60 FPS is really a godsend. Completing the main game is a blast, yeah. The last 2 trinkets I had laying around kind of confused me enough for me to check a guide, but the main game is pretty short yet highly consistent. There's no real down points, no level feels like a downer and a filler or a cheap obstacle to fill the game's map. Every screen feels like an integral part of the experience and you never feel like you're walking for too long just to get to where you need to be. I won't spoil the actual all collectible reward here, but after you get that, you're taken to a small hub-ish center where you can see some new goals for new trophies. An in-game achievement system is always nice in my opinion if implemented well, and it motivated me to play some of the new modes unlocked after beating the game. Flip mode, for example, flips the entire game vertically, and it actually made me hold my Switch upside down more than once, and hey, it didn't even feel too dumb to do. It probably was. Anyway, I had a point earlier in the video and then I realized it was kinda short, so I went back to just a normal review, and this video is a bit all over the place, but I do want to finish up with one more segment. Oh my god, the music. This OST by the incredible Magnus Solai Paulsen keeps you focused and energized for the entire game. It's probably my favorite soundtrack ever, yeah. The chiptune melody blasting through the Switch's front-firing dual speakers just encloses your head with a retro adventure vibe in space like no other. This is just so awesome, and there are absolutely no bad tracks and barely ones that I could call worse. And right now in the background you're hearing Family Juice's VVVVVV medley cover, which you should click the icon right now and watch it. Listen, right now. Come on. No time. The music is well themed, but its distribution to kind of specific areas makes the main motif of some tracks stay in your head for years to come, but keep memory of where specific tracks played with all the little bits and pieces. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Anyway, that's it for this kind of messy video, and one more thing, I will probably be streaming the Game Awards tomorrow as much as I can, so hop on, we'll have fun, maybe. That's it for today, my dudes. It's keep flipping. Bye. What is this video?